The Meghan Markle yacht girl claims simply will not go away. And you know I've spoken about this before, but until now, no one in the mainstream media has been brave enough to go there. Well, that has just changed.
What is she doing on the yacht? Why did David Boies want to question her? Why is she with Karina Yacht?
The reason why these pictures are so problematic for Meghan Markle is because these pictures place her with Jeffrey Epstein.
Pathetic. Not so funny, it's actually tragic. What Harry revealed by that is a complete lack of any self-awareness, of any understanding of reality. He just behaved as the arrogant royal.
The rumors surrounding Meghan Markle and the so-called yacht girl claims refuse to disappear. As I've touched on previously, no one in the mainstream press had been willing to address it head-on. That has now changed. This week, Meghan Markle was described by certain commentators as having previously been a so-called yacht girl. It reportedly left roughly $8,000 in its wake, a tiny fraction of what she anticipated. Nobody could work out who footed the bill. She leaked it herself. No major outlet in the mainstream had the nerve to go there. Until now, Meghan Markle's alleged past. A prominent piece in the long-established British publication, The Spectator, penned by the outspoken columnist Julie Burchill, takes what could be described as a pointed but playful look at some rather uncomfortable questions. The fact that a well-known mainstream media figure is now asking these questions openly about Meghan's life before Harry feels like a notable turning point. There has been growing speculation in various papers that Meghan may have crossed paths with Prince Andrew as a guest aboard Jeffrey Epstein's yacht. This is a thread we cannot simply drop, because there are pieces still missing. Pieces I believe were scrubbed from the internet long before most people even knew Meghan Markle's name. Here's what kept nagging at me. After we wrapped up that conversation, the Sussexes have been publicly attacked in print by Piers Morgan, Samantha Markle, Valentine Lowe, and Thomas Markle Sr. They ignored every last one. Tom Bower's first book, Revenge, called Meghan a manipulative social climber. They said nothing. Omid Scobie accidentally named senior royals in Endgame. They stayed quiet. But with Betrayal, 12 days before a single copy reached a bookshelf, they panicked. Their team issued the most aggressive public statement they have ever put out. They called it deranged. They called it melodrama. And most people, myself included, assumed the panic was triggered by the brainwashing narrative, the charity collapse, or the Invictus footage. That was a reasonable assumption. It was also the wrong one. Tom Bower, author of Betrayal, Power, Deceit, and the Fight for the Future of the Royal Family, a forensic examination of the many contradictions and controversies surrounding Prince Harry and Meghan Markle over the past 7 years. Here's what slipped past almost everyone. When you read the Times excerpts from start to finish, something is conspicuously absent. The thing that genuinely alarmed them isn't in the book, not yet. The excerpts covered Harry's growing isolation, Camilla's private warning, the charity disaster, but there is one specific subject that Bower's established credibility makes especially dangerous for Meghan, and the book hasn't touched it. Not once. Keep that in mind, because 4 days after those excerpts hit newsstands, someone at The Spectator decided to say in print what everyone else had been too cautious to put on record. Julie Burchill is a controversial figure. She was dismissed from the Daily Telegraph in 2021 following a racist tweet and paid damages after making Islamophobic remarks directed at a journalist. Most reputable publications keep their distance, but she writes for The Spectator, and that matters because The Spectator has been in continuous publication since 1828. That predates the Crimean War. It has editors, it has legal review. Every line is scrutinized before it goes to press. On March 17, 2026, Burchill published a column mocking Meghan's upcoming luxury women's retreat in Sydney. Tickets were priced at nearly 3,000 Australian dollars. The column was exactly what you'd expect from her. Biting, personal, and unfiltered.
Speaking the truth to power, will be hosting a women-only weekend retreat in Sydney during her forthcoming Australia jaunt, with tickets a steal at 2,699 Australian dollars. I already had my credit card in my hot little hand until I remembered that though I love to lunch tete-a-tete with one lady, being in the company of many women at once, and the line that really interested me was not a question about whether she was a yacht girl, but just simply stating as a fact and then asking, was it double figures or triple in terms of how many yachts she was a guest on before she met Prince Harry?
But right in the middle of that mockery, she wrote one line that stopped me completely. She asked how many yachts Meghan had been a guest on before she met her prince. Double figures, she wrote, or triple. Read that again. Double figures or triple. She didn't ask whether Meghan had been on yachts. She stated it as an established fact and simply asked how many. And that line cleared every editor and every lawyer and was published in one of the oldest magazines in the English language. This is not a YouTube comment. This is not a Reddit thread. This is not a TikTok rumor. This is the Spectator in print. For 7 years, these questions existed only in conspiracy forums and anonymous accounts. The mainstream British press behaved as though none of it was real. Until now, Burchill's column didn't prove anything about Meghan's past, but it proved something equally significant. It proved that the media is no longer prepared to look away. That wall came down on March 17th, and it is not going back up. Marcus Anderson, Global Membership Director at Soho House. He started out as a waiter and worked his way up to become the right-hand man of founder Nick Jones. He met Meghan during her Suits years in Toronto. He was present at her royal wedding in 2018. He was at her New York baby shower in 2019. Royal correspondent Katie Nicholl reported on Channel 4 that Harry asked Anderson to arrange a private meeting with Meghan at Soho House. Not a date. A carefully orchestrated private meeting. Anderson wasn't the one who made the initial connection. Harry's own memoir confirms that Violet von Westenholz introduced them via Instagram in July 2016. But Anderson managed everything that followed: the logistics, the early meetings, the introductions. He was the engine driving the whole operation. And here's where things begin to get uncomfortable. Tom Bauer wrote in Revenge that Meghan attended Brett Ratner's Hollywood parties multiple times a week for years. Her own childhood friend, Ninaki Pretty, told Bauer directly that Meghan was a calculating social climber who had set her sights on landing a prince since her high school years.
Claiming to possess a 4-year-old tape of a Meghan who is about to marry a prince.
People have overlooked one very important part of the book at the beginning, and I think your viewers will be interested in this, is when Meghan, before she gets married, meets a very, very famous, important member of the British establishment. And that person is brought in every 3 to 4 weeks to Kensington Palace to tell Meghan about what her duties will be and how her life will follow her marriage to Harry, a part of the royal family.
A guy sent me a tape of this model/actress 4 years ago, and she is tossing his salad, and
Nice.
it's,
Yes.
oral sex.
Yes, eat the scrum.
And
Yes.
I said, great. How do you know this guy? Well, he's a photographer based in Florida. I was doing some stuff with him. Okay. I said, who is the person we're talking about here? Before I call my lawyer and get anybody involved in this, you have to tell me. So then she says, her name is Meghan, and she's about to marry a prince.
That's not me saying it. That is someone who grew up alongside her, someone who knew her long before any of this fame began. Now here's where things become genuinely unsettling. The man who owned approximately 60% of Soho House at the time was Ron Burchill, an American billionaire. His name appears in Jeffrey Epstein's personal address book. His name appears on Epstein's private jet flight logs. And when the U.S. Department of Justice unsealed the second batch of Epstein court documents in January 2024, Burchill's name surfaced again, not in a criminal context, but prominently enough to generate international headlines. Let me be direct with you. Nobody has produced any evidence that Burchill had a direct personal relationship with Meghan. That claim doesn't appear in any credible reporting, and I am not making it. But consider what we do know. The man who built the entire social ecosystem that delivered Meghan into Harry's life has documented, verified, publicly available connections to Jeffrey Epstein. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is on the court record, and that is precisely the thread that figures like Burchill are now pulling on, in a magazine that has been in print for nearly 2 centuries. Now, in February 2026, days after Prince Andrew's arrest, a photograph exploded across every major platform. 7 women on a boat, Mediterranean sun, broad smiles, and 2 red arrows drawn over the image, one pointing to Meghan Markle, the other to a woman labeled Karina Shuliak, Jeffrey Epstein's last known girlfriend, the woman who was with him from 2009 until the day he died. Russian state television posted it with the caption, "Epstein's girlfriend with Markle." It went completely viral. Millions of people saw it within hours across Facebook, Reddit, X, and everywhere else. But here is the problem. Snopes investigated, and what they found was this. The photograph itself is entirely genuine. Meghan is in it. The image has not been altered in any way, but the woman those arrows were pointing to is not Karina Shuliak. The woman indicated is actually Flavia Sereno, an Italian lifestyle blogger who runs a page called The Chic Picnic. The original photo was uploaded on August 10, 2016 by photographer Carla Duca, who tagged Serino by name. Karina Shuliak was never on that boat. The identification was entirely wrong. Marcus Anderson, Global Membership Director at Soho House. He started out as a waiter and worked his way up to become the right-hand man of founder Nick Jones. He met Meghan during her Suits years in Toronto. He was present at her royal wedding in 2018. He was at her New York baby shower in 2019. Royal correspondent Katie Nichol reported on Channel 4 that Harry asked Anderson to arrange a private meeting with Meghan at Soho House. Not a date, a carefully orchestrated private meeting. Anderson wasn't the one who made the initial connection. Harry's own memoir confirms that Violet von Westenholz introduced them via Instagram in July 2016. But Anderson managed everything that followed. The logistics, the early meetings, the introductions. He was the engine driving the whole operation. And here's where things begin to get uncomfortable. Tom Bauer wrote in Revenge that Meghan attended Brett Ratner's Hollywood parties multiple times a week for years. Her own childhood friend, Ninaki Pretty, told Bauer directly that Meghan was a calculating social climber who had set her sights on landing a prince since her high school years. That's not me saying it. That is someone who grew up alongside her, someone who knew her long before any of this fame began. Now here's where things become genuinely unsettling. The man who owned approximately 60% of Soho House at the time was Ron Burchill, an American billionaire. His name appears in Jeffrey Epstein's personal address book. His name appears on Epstein's private jet flight logs. And when the U.S. Department of Justice unsealed the second batch of Epstein court documents in January 2024, Burchill's name surfaced again. Not in a criminal context, but prominently enough to generate international headlines. Let me be direct with you. Nobody has produced any evidence that Burchill had a direct personal relationship with Meghan. That claim doesn't appear in any credible reporting, and I am not making it. But consider what we do know. The man who built the entire social ecosystem that delivered Meghan into Harry's life has documented, verified, publicly available connections to Jeffrey Epstein. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is on the court record, and that is precisely the thread that figures like Burchill are now pulling on. In a magazine that has been in print for nearly 2 centuries. Now, in February 2026, days after Prince Andrew's arrest, a photograph exploded across every major platform. 7 women on a boat, Mediterranean sun, broad smiles, and 2 red arrows drawn over the image, one pointing to Meghan Markle, the other to a woman labeled Karina Shuliak, Jeffrey Epstein's last known girlfriend, the woman who was with him from 2009 until the day he died. Russian state television posted it with the caption, "Epstein's girlfriend with Markle." It went completely viral. Millions of people saw it within hours across Facebook, Reddit, X, and everywhere else. But here's the problem. Snopes investigated, and what they found was this. The photograph itself is entirely genuine. Meghan is in it. The image has not been altered in any way, but the woman those arrows were pointing to is not Karina Shuliak. The woman indicated is actually Flavia Serino, an Italian lifestyle blogger who runs a page called The Chic Picnic. The original photo was uploaded on August 10, 2016 by photographer Carla Duca, who tagged Serino by name. Karina Shuliak was never on that boat. The identification was entirely wrong. But here's what you need to understand. Don't let that single error cause you to dismiss everything else, because the debunking actually makes the genuine questions harder to ignore, not easier. The photo is real. It hasn't been touched, and Meghan is in it, on a yacht in the Mediterranean off the coast of Formentera in the Balearic Islands, Spain. August 2016, just weeks before she officially began dating Harry. The other women in that photograph include Misha Nonu and Heather Dorak, confirmed by their own social media tags. And Misha Nonu is not just a casual acquaintance. She designed the shirt Meghan wore for her very first public appearance alongside Harry. She was at the heart of every key early introduction. So the fabricated Shuliak connection fell apart. Fine. Good. That's how truth is meant to work. But the yacht is real. The network is real. The timing is real. The people are real. And none of that has been challenged or answered. Now remember the name Burchill, because in December 2021, something happened that the mainstream media covered for exactly 1 news cycle before quietly letting it drop. David Boies, chairman of Boies Schiller Flexner, one of the most formidable and feared litigation firms in America, sat down with the Daily Beast. He was representing Virginia Giuffre in her civil lawsuit against Prince Andrew. During that interview, he told journalist Tom Sykes that his legal team was seriously considering deposing Meghan Markle, not as a defendant, but as a witness. And his reasoning, published on December 21st, 2021, was very specific. 1. She is based in the US, so jurisdiction was not an issue. 2. She was clearly, at least for a period, a close associate of Prince Andrew, and was therefore in a position to have directly witnessed his behavior, or at a minimum to have heard others discuss it. 3. She was someone they could rely on to tell the truth. Boies had only 10 to 12 depositions available to him in total. He was not going to waste a single one on someone without relevance. He was considering Meghan because he believed she had direct proximity to and real knowledge of matters pertinent to Andrew's conduct. And notably, he explicitly ruled out deposing Queen Elizabeth, saying he would not do so out of respect for her age and position. Meghan received no such courtesy, no exemption, none whatsoever. Let that settle for a moment. One of the most influential attorneys in American legal history, a man who has taken on the US government, major Hollywood studios, and Fortune 500 companies and won, looked at the Duchess of Sussex and concluded she qualified as a potential witness in an Epstein-connected sexual assault case, not because of gossip, not because of online videos, because of her documented proximity to Prince Andrew and the elite social circles surrounding him. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is a senior attorney doing his job on national television. Then the timeline becomes even more revealing. On January 12, 2022, Judge Lewis Kaplan denied Andrew's motion to dismiss. The case was heading toward discovery. Depositions were imminent. 5 weeks later, on February 15, 2022, Andrew settled, reportedly for £12 million. The case was dead before Meghan was ever called. And then in April 2025, Virginia Giuffre took her own life at her farm near Cab, Western Australia. She was 41 years old. Her family said the accumulated weight of the abuse had simply become too much to bear. A posthumous memoir, Nobody's Girl, was published 6 months later. But here's what you need to understand about Boies. He did not make that statement in a vacuum. He was aware of the Soho House network. He was aware of Burchill's documented Epstein connections. He understood precisely how Meghan's world and Andrew's world intersected through the same overlapping elite circles. He laid it all out publicly, in print, in the Daily Beast, and Meghan has never, not once, said a single word about it. Here's the pattern that almost no one discusses. Not the allegations themselves, but the silence surrounding them. Because the Sussexes absolutely know how to issue denials when they want to. When Bauer published Revenge, their allies quietly pushed back through sympathetic outlets. When Scobie's Endgame leaked those royal names, they issued careful non-responses. They have lawyers. They have an entire PR apparatus. They know precisely how to fire off a sharp, specific, targeted denial when something genuinely needs denying. They called betrayal a deranged conspiracy. They accused Bauer of constructing elaborate theories about people he had never even met. They fired simultaneous statements at Newsweek and GB News. PR strategist Renee Smith, founder of the Atticisme agency, told the Express that their response made them appear deeply rattled and that Bauer had clearly struck a nerve. But look closely at what their statement actually does. It attacks the author. It attacks his methods. It attacks his motives. And it never once, not in a single sentence, specifically denies the yacht allegations. Not one word about yachts. Not one word about Soho House. Not one word about Burchill. Not one word about Boies. Not one word about the social world she inhabited before Harry. I have read every major public statement the Sussexes have released since 2020. There's not a single direct denial of the yacht claims anywhere. Not from Meghan, not from Harry, not from Sunshine Sachs, not from Shillings, not from any spokesperson in any outlet at any time. They denied the brainwashing story. They denied bullying their staff. They denied fabricating the Oprah claims. But the yacht questions, the precise questions Burchill put in print in The Spectator, the ones Boies raised in the Daily Beast, the ones independent researchers have been piecing together for 8 straight years. Nothing. No comment, no denial, no legal threat. Just total silence. And when you attack every person writing about a story, but never actually deny the story itself, that is not a PR strategy. That is a confession. So here is exactly where things stand. Andrew was arrested on February 19th. 3 weeks prior to that, the Department of Justice had released over 3 million pages of Epstein files. Within 72 hours of Andrew's arrest, the yacht allegations burst out of independent media and landed on every mainstream platform. Burchill printed her questions in The Spectator on March 17th. Dan Wooten broadcast fresh claims on his Substack the very next day to hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And Bauer's betrayal gave this entire story a level of mainstream credibility it had never previously had, even though the book itself concentrates on the post-Megxit years. That is precisely why the Sussex response was so explosive. Not because of the brainwashing claims, not because of the charity collapse, but because a book serialized in the Times of London, published by a major house, reviewed across every significant British outlet, had just kicked the door wide open. It made Meghan's pre-Harry past entirely fair game for publications that had refused to engage with it for years. Newsweek's chief royal correspondent Jack Royston warned them directly. They had triggered the Streisand effect. By attacking the book so loudly and so publicly, they had guaranteed that millions more people would go looking for it. And he was right. By March 15th, Betrayal had reached #1 on Amazon before a single copy had even shipped. Think about that. Their own reaction made the book a bestseller. And here's what they appear not to understand. Once that door opens in mainstream British media, with legal teams behind it, with editorial oversight behind it, with institutional backing behind it, it does not close. Ever. Now, I want to be straight with you before we close. Everything I've presented today comes from the same public record available to anyone. Verified facts, named sources, court documents. I was not in those rooms. None of us were. But when a columnist at one of Britain's oldest magazines prints the yacht question in black and white, when one of America's most powerful lawyers names Meghan as a potential witness in an Epstein-connected case, when the woman who conducted their own brand audit tells Harry his wife has rendered him commercially worthless, and when the response to every single one of those things is to attack the messenger and never once deny the actual message, at some point the silence stops being a strategy. It becomes the story itself. And the yacht questions are only the beginning of what is unraveling, because there are 6 specific individuals across 8 years, across 3 continents. All of them attempted to put the story on the record. None of them knew one another. All of them faced serious consequences for trying. And the pattern connecting what happened to each of them is not coincidence. That is a system. And we are going to break that system down next. If this video has brought something to your attention that the mainstream media has been sitting on for years, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it helps more people find this before the story disappears again. Subscribe if you haven't already, because what's coming next is the part they really don't want you to see.